Uh-oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, I just sent it. it. You want the bucket or the chair? You want the bucket? Uh, okay, I'll take the chair if that's my only option. Yeah, I just started us. And Stan up in New York is saying hi already. Oh my gosh. Can you see me? Am I in the shot?
I went off because I'm going to post it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't. Oh man. Wait, maybe move this back a little bit. Here, you sit there. See, this is all stuff the professionals do before they start filming. But we like to show you a little behind the scenes, so we just turn the camera on and then figure out where it's pointing. Hang on a second here. Let's see. Hands. Okay. Go there. Go there. All right. So everything's got this like haze of grease over it. It seems like right now, and I think that really pretty much explains what's been going on with us. Here, let me adjust this up a little bit. I did. That's the.
You want to go, Joe?
Well, all right. There we go. So, welcome to another Sunday, and I was expecting to be home by now. Jason, where were you expecting to be by now? Probably back in Minneapolis. We'd be back in Minneapolis working on your bus.
Yeah.
But we've made some progress. Where were you? The last week we were in Minnesota.
Yeah, in the hotel room.
Yeah, and we're nationwide. Yeah, so last week we were checking out. Let me do this actually. We were checking out your bus. Let's plug that in. Okay, that should. Now, let's do a live mic check now that. So can you hear us now? Does it sound good? We plugged in the microphone, so hopefully it sounds better now.
It's pointed at us, though.
Yeah, you can turn a little bit. There you go. Yeah, we're a little pixelated and greasy and.
Oh, I really am greasy.
All right, everybody says that it sounds good. Much better, somebody said. 2 feathers. All right. Well, welcome live, and we'll bring in our guest listening. So Scott is if you haven't figured out, we're at the Bus Grease Monkey compound now.
Silverside Ranch.
Yeah, the Silverside Ranch these days. We've got 3 Silversides, and in the background there you can see just a little bit of a 41. Is that a 4104?
Yes.
Yeah, 4104.
I get my drink.
And so we're here working on the bus. So to get you caught up, the last week we were waiting for a radiator, and we decided to go back down on Tuesday, and we got back to Wichita Falls, and pretty much the radiator looked exactly like it did when we left. So, confirming that sometimes you have to go and gently shepherd the process to make sure that things get done. But the top tank of the radiator got welded. The bottom tank was a basket case. And fortunately, we picked up a radiator frame from the bus boys when we were in Minnesota and brought it back down. And I think that we'd be in Wichita Falls right now if we hadn't done that.
That was a good call to get that.
So we got the radiator put back together. We got it hung in the bus. There were some tweaks and things like that. Another major leak that we discovered once we fired it up, and that is that the manifold, which kind of is above the head on the bus, started squirting water straight up, and we discovered that it had a huge crack. And so Jason got handy and put some JB steel putty in there and stopped the leak, and we kind of bolted that in, and I think that was about it. We were ready to roll. And so
just some hoses, flush it a couple times.
Oh yeah, make sure it's not coming out sudsy, then put your radiator fluid in. It was pretty gross. It was a good move to do that. And then the water came out really clear after that, so we felt like we flushed it pretty well. The next morning we got up, which was yesterday morning, and we put 500 miles on the bus in one day. And
501.
oh yeah, that extra 1 mile. But we were dumbfounded. I was hoping to get 250 out of the day, and we got a 501 miles. It put us just almost to the edge of Tennessee, and we drove the rest of the way to Scott's. And as you can tell by the fact that the biggest one being that we've been spraying oil all over the back of the bus since we left Wichita Falls. We had a gasket that assessment of you carrying it a couple times.
It's running pretty good. It needs a little...
And I kept on just having fears that we would have to do an in-frame rebuild. And you're saying it probably doesn't.
I don't think so. The biggest problem that we had is one of the gaskets had blown out from an airbox cover. And that was, I think that was a pretty significant power loss, 5-10% maybe. And I think that added to the smoking because there wasn't as much air going into the cylinder each time. So too much fuel, not enough air. Hopefully that'll fix that.
So now we're just going through the punch list. The throttle body has been doing some weird things, and the normal way that you shut down a Silversides is you kind of drown it. You give it you adjust it so it gets starved from fuel, or it gets too much fuel.
Starved.
So you starve it from fuel when there's a switch, a proximity or a magneto that will trigger that starving process. It runs out of gas, it stops. That's how you stop a diesel engine.
It's on a little cam lever, so when you hit the solenoid, it pulls the cam lever, and it allows the throttle to return further.
How many times do you use the word gas? 9 million
Oh,
times?
diesel? Fuel.
Every time you
Throttle.
say... Yeah.
Throttle.
Well, and you call it a throttle body as the governor, but yeah.
It's a governor. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll teach you.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
You stop for gas 10 times on the way here.
So you pull the thingy and you. Anyway, so we're optimistic. We only have 750 miles back to Traverse City from here, which seems like a long way, but we did 500 miles yesterday. We did 200 today. I mean, we basically went halfway in a day and a half. So we figure if we're out of here, Tuesday at noon, that'll put us back. How far is it to Indiana? About 4 hours?
4.5, maybe. Yeah, 4.5 hours bus probably to Indy, something like that.
Okay, so we could make it to Indy Tuesday night and then be home on Wednesday to Traverse City, which, boy, 3 days ago, did you ever think it would be that easy? I'm elated.
I was looking for a storage lot to put the bus in.
So, well, let's see. My phone, it seems to be locking up a lot.
What was your name for the bus that he doesn't want?
I don't know. My life.
No, yeah, it is sad.
Broke down palace.
So anyway, so we're here. I've never seen Scott's new compound, and it's very, very pretty. It's the whole area reminds me a lot of the UP, actually, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Where there's a lot of trees, there's a shotgun going off almost perpetually, which is like the UP. And, but lots of water. It's very lush. It's a really scenic area, kind of a neat little place that he is. And so this is cool that we've had a chance to kind of come in and visit with him, and more importantly, pick his brain to do this. But so that's kind of getting you caught up with where we are right now.
I think you're buffering a lot, people are saying.
Yeah, I probably should shut this down. Could you do the questions then if I close this one?
Is that going off of that phone's
Yeah,
Wi-Fi? Is
yes.
that why? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
turn that off.
Okay, so I'm going to shut that down. Okay, so I'll shut that down, and hopefully that won't put too much load.
Let's see.
I don't have a phone anymore to help read.
That's
So
okay.
Yeah, you don't. So anyway, so that's kind of where we are. So
Well, hang on. Let's see. So starting right now, is it any better or is it still buffering?
right now.
And if my wife's listening, I'm not ignoring you. I broke my phone.
Okay, there's somebody.
Better now. Okay.
All
Did
right.
you hear everything that we said up to now, or was it just guessing?
Do I have to repeat myself?
Okay. Do we need to repeat anything, or are we good to go with that? We can just continue.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. We fixed the radiator. We drove 500 miles yesterday, 250 today. We're at the Bus Grease Monkey compound. It's gorgeous.
And he's working his magic on the governor.
Yes,
And it's not a throttle body.
it's not a problem.
And it doesn't take gas.
No, it takes diesel, yes. Anyway, so this is how today's going to go.
How about we go up to the top of the hill? You want to go up to the top of the hill? Maybe your phone will have better coverage or signal. What do you got? How many bars you got?
Oh, I got full bars. Here's what I'll do is I'll just set this like right here. So there.
Maybe just turn it off, turn the screen off on it? Or?
It goes off.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully if I don't mess with, I think it's because I was holding it in my hand and I had a radio in my hand. So hopefully it's back to it. So I have a little jetpack that I use, but we have burned through so much data they've clutched it down. And so I don't have, I have to run off the kind of hotspot off my phone, and hopefully that looks like it's working better now.
Rodney said it's better. Is it better again still? Are we back to good if he leaves his phone alone?
Start now.
At the moment, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll try and pay attention if you say it goes
And
to
I'll
crapper
I'll
again.
leave the phone over there so that it can do its job of both ways. So anyway, so that's kind of where we are. I'm heading home. I've been told 4 times now that I need a new engine, and I've been told or discovered 4 times that I don't. So at this point, if Scott told me I need a new engine, I'd probably not have any reaction because I'm just planning on it. And if it doesn't need one, then it's just a bonus. But this bus has been fighting us a lot. I mean, we did a recovery, Scott and Tyler and myself, over 2 weeks in the fall last year of that bus that hadn't run in 32 years. And I can't tell you at this point which one was harder. That one was probably harder because we had to replace the engine mount. But this thing is just stubborn. Everything you do, it's like, seems like we've had to do over
3
and over
times?
again. Yeah.
Yeah, even the starter tonight.
We put a new starter on it. It took 3 times.
3 times put the starter on, 3 times put the blower on. If I remember, the air compressor took a little work. It took half a day to get that to work. So that's just kind of how this one is. But I feel a lot better that, I mean, the air system seems to be working well. The radiator.
It still has 50 pounds of air in it right now.
Oh, no kidding. So the air system's working well. It's holding well. The radiator is, I mean, we didn't get above 185.
No, well, that's on the gauge, and if you shoot it with the gun,
Yeah.
it never broke 170 today.
So the whole cooling system is great. We might get another leak or 2, but it seems to be working pretty darn well. So anyway, if you got
There is a problem with the fan belts. The inner
Oh.
fan belt is wearing bad. There's big notches out of it.
Yeah.
And it's fitting deeper down in the groove. Luckily, it's got 2 belts, and they've got a bunch of spares. But the pulley has some damage on it that's tearing up the belt. So at some point, he's going to need to get a new pulley for it.
And the video we actually posted this morning was a video where we replaced the fan belts. I mean, it would have been probably 1,000 miles ago, and that was one of the things that you had said was this
Yeah.
pulley's got a big notch in it. So I guess we knew about that, and we'll have to pay attention to this. But we now have 6 fan belts with us, so we're pretty good at changing. We figured out how to change it a little. The adjuster that comes down to the very bottom
Missing.
isn't
Gone.
there. We had to figure out a.
Yeah, you should just get like a piece of wood and a jack. Underneath
Exactly.
That's
it.
exactly what we did.
We had a 2x4 cut to the right length that I can jam in there now and
Thanks to our farmer buddy in Texas somewhere.
side of the road.
So anyway, so what have you been up to? You're new to this YouTube thing. Do you understand how? So Scott is getting very close to 100,000 subscribers. I would imagine 99% of my subscribers are probably subscribers to his. But if you have not seen his, go to Bus Grease Monkey, and he is the 100% reason why I was brazen enough to go buy my first bus, because like anything, they're machines, and if you don't have somebody with some institutional knowledge about how to put these things back together, there is as perfect a shape as they're in. If you don't have somebody who can make sure it's running, there's just no reason to get one. And so the first one, he was very involved with this one. It's pretty much been Tyler and Jason and myself kind of getting this one back on the road, except for right now, which to me, I don't touch the governor. I wouldn't, and so I'm really happy that Scott's into that. But they're beasts, and it's like fun to own them. But this one's exhausted me like the last one seems like it did. It took me a week to recover from that last one when I got home, and it'll probably be the same way this time.
This one probably wouldn't have been as bad if it would have been closer to home.
Yeah. Well, I agree, because it's 1,700 1,700 miles, 22 hours to get to it.
You drove back and forth to it 4 times, right? Because
3.
Well, you went to
Three and a half.
Minnesota.
Oh yeah, I guess Minnesota counts.
Yeah, it's only
12 hours each way at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, but I mean that was just, we just didn't want to be in Texas any longer. I mean, we glad Jason ended up buying a bus. Like we said last Sunday, we were talking about his bus, but I'm glad we did it because we needed parts that they had at the Bus Boys that we needed to make this work.
Yeah.
And we got to meet Phil, the old busman Phil, which he's one of Scott's best friends.
So I went through, and on this one it's running real smooth now. So we got the hunt out of it. We went and ran the rack. It had a couple cylinders, at least one, if not more, that were hitting harder than the others. Ran the rack on it, did all the adjustments on the governor. The buffer screw was just ridiculous the way it was set. Idle screw was run beyond the jam nut. It was all the way negative inside the jam nut. It was just, everything was just so off on it. And they had a hard time shutting it off because everything was out of adjustment on the governor, the top of the governor. So we think we've got that all pretty well worked out right now. I just got a few things to go through it probably in the morning then to get that going. We found some other oil leaks, and one of them's JB weld again, all over some stuff. The governor weights where it hooks on the blower, the bottom of that, the housing actually has JB weld on it, and there's oil leaks coming from there. So I don't know how that would have got broken or whatever, but at some point something cracked it or broke it and it got JB welded, and now that's got an oil leak. The biggest oil leaks that I saw were that valve cover gasket. So if we can repair this other valve cover enough to get it going, I think we'll be in good shape with that too.
So the plan is to work on those 2 things tomorrow. There's some weird steering things going on that we want to get under and look at with the air assist steering, which I only know one person who has it that's using it actively, and that's Nick Nelson.
Yeah.
So we're going to probably have to figure that out. But Jason was saying when we came into here that it was really driving stiff.
Yeah, you turn if you turn a corner one way, you have to fight it to get it to come back. It's like something's jamming it.
So we got to look at that. And I mean, the other stuff are things that can be done later. These are like the throttle was very important to me. We have a reverse solenoid that I think we've got one on its way here. But the reverse solenoid, we'd love it to work. We did engage it manually today. And it's, it backs up. It just can't without having a solenoid that automatically triggers when you push a button on the dashboard.
Takes a Greasy assistant.
Which is really weird because my other bus, you don't have a button. You just you just wiggle it till you start hearing air.
Oh, yours has the air assist one. Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me is easy. You just kind of put it up there, and then all of a sudden you hear this air, and then you just slide it into reverse. So this was kind of a new way that this one works or doesn't work. Anyway, if you guys have questions, I don't know if there's any questions or just comments.
There's a few. There's not a gun range around here. That's just neighbors.
Yeah, Jason still has not shot a gun. That was one of his ambitions in Texas, and we didn't make it happen for him. So that's unfortunate. But we'll figure out a way to have him shoot a weapon.
Rodney says for you to fix the carburetor on my thing.
That's an easy fix.
I need to get a rebuild kit for it and try.
Yeah.
I just wanted to swap it. I thought it'd be the easiest thing just to swap it, and then I'd have time to rebuild it. I'm afraid to tear it apart because that's my only daily driver that I have here. So if I tear it apart and something's wrong, then I don't have a car.
Those are so easy though. You take the
But I was even afraid looking online at like the rebuild kits. A bunch of them I looked at had horrible reviews, and I'm like, well, how do I even know which rebuild kit?
Well, you go to
buy?
Wolfsburg West.
Okay.
And you call them and you just say, I want a rebuild kit for whatever pick. It's a Solex probably.
Yes.
Just pick
34 pick.
34, 134, 2, 3, 334. Anyway, you just tell them what you got. You say, I want the best one you have. And Wolfsburg West is solid. They're like, they get German. They don't, they may sell a Chinese one if it works, but they'll tell you, and they always have a better one. So that's the way I'd go.
But it's definitely screwed up from sitting with the nasty fuel in it.
Yeah.
We have a gas station here that sells non-ethanol. I put non-ethanol in it, and then the car doesn't want to shut off with that in there. I turn it off, and it just runs and knocks and runs. Sometimes
really?
it'll do it for 30 seconds. But only with as soon as I put ethanol back in it, then it doesn't do that.
Wow. I've never heard that before.
Strange. Yeah.
It was
really.
the very first, as soon as coming home from the gas station after filling up with the non-ethanol. That's what it did.
It was probably so excited to
Yeah.
like,
Real. I got the real deal.
you know, that's one of the things that we were pretty happy. I was happy about is we haven't changed the fuel filters we've driven it
Don't jinx it.
about 1,000 miles. We're going to change them tomorrow, but you know, there's a guy trying to drive a Scenic Cruiser across the country right now, and he changed his
8 times, I think I read.
6 or 8 times.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some big problems with his fuel, and we've now probably run 70 gallons through here with the Lucas fuel cleaner and stuff. And you know, I'll change the filters just because, but we really haven't had any problems with fuel, which is like one thing that has gone right. It seems like.
Yeah, and it fired right up after sitting in Texas for a week.
Yeah.
And I'm a little nervous about the carburetor. I don't know a whole lot about them, and
Oh.
I mean, you don't go to a diesel mechanic to have your carburetor. That's like going to a gynecologist for your vasectomy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just that's not the person to do it.
Well, they're. I mean, all you do is you count how many times the jets, how many times
Yep,
you unscrew
and
them,
and I went online and I found the steps for that,
Yep.
and the big one on the top, I think it was 3. Back off each of them, run them all the way in, back them off 3 times.
Right.
The big one on the top, if I back it off even a quarter a turn, it dies. Anything beyond that, it won't even run.
You could get even more accurate. You could take a vernier and measure the depth of the screws before you move them.
So you're talking to somebody who, yeah. So is that what you're saying we're doing tomorrow morning? Is we're rebuilding your car?
No, I don't have any of the parts to do it. I'm sure there's
Oh.
something probably wrong with the internal stuff too. So
Well,
I mean, I
if you
could
get,
just take it apart and clean it, but I don't know. I'm
If you
afraid
could-
something breaks. And
you know, jets you don't have to replace the jets. You just have to dip them.
Clean them.
Yeah. Getting a gasket set is, I mean, that's kind of important, but I don't know. Can you rebuild one and use the gaskets over? Or you
No,
don't really want
you
to.
need a kit.
They're pretty much
yeah.
done.
especially if I need to drive it. So I don't want.
Yeah, that's, I mean, with your only car. Anyway, any other
Perfect.
questions going on? Or if you got
No.
questions in all caps, that's the Grease Monkey way.
All caps makes it so much easier. Yes.
Yeah, it's because we're all over 45 and we all can't see.
Frank says to speak up, but
Speak up. Okay.
what was the problem with the radiator?
It was
So the radiator is a copper tubes like most radiators, but it's surrounded by an aluminum housing. So there's a tank on the top and a tank on the bottom and aluminum
supports.
supports on the side. The aluminum over 74 years, it's pot aluminum. In other words, the manufacturing process is a faster process, but it doesn't, I don't know how you'd explain it. The aluminum breaks down faster and it literally dissolved. I've never seen a metal pipe like have holes in it from dissolving. I guess it's similar to like rust. If it rusted for 74 years, you get a hole in it.
It just turns into like a powder. And
Yeah,
starts falling
it
apart.
just
It
falls
becomes
apart,
Super
and
brittle.
The bottom one, or the top one, they welded, and we did put the top one back in the radiator, but the top neck at the top, which we had welded, we put it on and it was leaking poorly, so we ended up using the one that we got when we went up to Minnesota. And then the bottom, we used the one that we brought with us as well that was in much better shape than the original. So it's just decay is basically what was wrong. The other thing is Jason and I both think that there's probably a lot of stop leak poured in that thing over the years. The hoses that we took off that we didn't need anymore were just, I mean, it just like what I imagine arteries of a guy who's been eating like steaks 3 days a week or 3 times a day for his life. I mean, they're just clogged with stuff. And so, the whole idea is that a radiator is that the hot liquid goes through and it cools down and then it goes back into the engine. He said it was almost 100% blocked, the radiator guy. He says, I don't think this is working at all. And when you don't have your radiator cooling, it's going to do some of the weird things that it was doing, which is, looking normal and then shooting up to super hot all at once. And it was doing some really haywire stuff. And now it's like perfect.
I think the heater circuit's open, and I think that's what was cooling the bus.
The only thing that was doing is, there's a tube that runs all the way down the bus that actually serves as a heater core, like you'd have in a normal car that heats the bus. We think that circuit's open, and they probably opened it purely because they knew the radiator was
Yeah,
in
the
bad
valves
shape.
are seized. I can't even budge them.
So anyway, so that's fixed that, and it's like I said, 185 is the hottest we've able to shoot it, but it's cruising typically at about 175. And we don't have as hot of temperatures, but it was up to 90 degrees today. and it didn't really have
I
any
shot
impact.
the rad as soon as we got off the highway the one time, and it was only like 115 at the bottom of the rad and 130 at the top. So there's lots more capacity in the system than it's using now.
Yeah. So that was, and it took us a week. It took us 8 days actually, between the time we had to take it off and got it to the shop and when we got it back from the shop. It was 8 days, and a big part of that was the welder. The welder is what delayed the whole thing.
So it's all working good. It's working great now.
Yep.
And Clifford asked if it's rained here since I put the culverts
Oh.
in. It has not. No rain.
And I've watched a lot of the videos, almost all of the videos of Scott building the driveway and stuff. And when you get here, I mean, it's like you see the waterfall kind of cascading off the different layers and stuff. It's so much bigger than it appears on the videos. I mean, the ditch that you just think it's this little ditch that the water was running through underneath the driveway, that's like 4.5 feet deep. It's to me, it's like one great big reflecting pond. He needs to turn this place into like the next Fantasy Island. You know how they have the waterfalls? I think it would be a fantastic water feature.
Put a big swimming pool at the bottom.
Pool at
and
the
we'll do
bottom,
cliff
exactly.
diving. Yeah.
Cliff diving.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Bus old man Phil. Hey Phil, how's it
Hey.
going?
Hey.
He says waiting for you to get back. I have some ideas. Should resolve your electrical issues.
For
What are
Jason.
you using for a camera? Looks like a 1950s kinescope. I don't know what that
Oh,
Kaleidoscope.
is. No,
yeah. So the
KINE.
lens has grease all over it. We apologize. I tried to clean it, but everything's greasy at this point. I've got to clean all my instruments. So apologies, Phil. We wanted it to feel vintage.
Everything's greasy, including the chase vehicle.
Yeah. So the front of my Eurovan is almost black with oil.
You're not gonna have rust issues up there for a while.
It's got these really cool custom pinstripes down the side.
Yeah, they're tears,
It looks
little
like-
tears of oil. The bus is crying. Oh well.
Stan the man asked, how loaded is the bus? Seems like the mileage should be better than 10 miles per gallon nearly empty, but I usually around 10 is what they get on the highway. Although they were wasting a lot of fuel with that plate off, so
yeah, with the engine not being efficient because of that, I don't know if the way that the governor was adjusted, if we weren't running if there's any efficiency that would be gained from the way that you adjusted it. But
Yeah, the rack was pretty far off. It sounds so much better now.
so that's, I mean, it just, maybe we just keep getting better. It was actually a little lower than that when the first fill up. It was like 8.5, and so it's getting better. So I don't know what good fuel economy is with a 4-valve head. I know my 2-valve head on my other bus, I was getting 13 miles to the gallon, but that's a you can't go as fast. It's a much it's a smaller capacity of the exhaust valves, so it runs a little bit more efficiently.
somebody tell me to call O'Reilly's and see if they have the carb kit, but I'm sure they don't have it in stock, but they could probably get it in. But it's a holiday weekend, and we got to work on their bus, so I'm not worried about. I'm sure I can do it if I'm not afraid. I just didn't want to be down and not have a car.
I got a bucket of parts. I might even have one I can send you. when I get
Solex,
home.
rebuild it and send it to them.
Yeah, I just
I probably have one. I just have a project I need it for.
I got a whole like 50-gallon paper barrel full of old Beetle parts. I bet you there's a carb in there.
It's a Beetle carb. It's the
Yeah.
Solex 34 pick.
What did the Canadian think of the Shinerbach?
You know what? I was so hot and exhausted. You could have handed me anything and it would have tasted good.
He did enjoy it. We got a 6-pack. He drank all 3 of his. So
Yeah.
the Canadian.
Rodney says, "Are you going to tell Phil that you're thinking about changing to negative ground?"
No, I am not going to
think
do
you should-
that.
I think you should
Rodney.
take the camera around and show him your electrical box and all the goo and wire that's in there, the big ball of wire
Where's that in the?
in the side panel. There's like a big ball of wire.
Oh
in
yeah.
there.
I'll get into electrical later. Rodney, it should be noted that Phil is very upset that you ripped all your wires out of your bus. This is a gentleman, Rodney, lives in South Carolina, who literally had to cut trees down to get his silver sides out, and then ripped all the wires out and started from scratch, which seems like a dreamy idea, but Phil was rather upset that you chose to do that. So maybe you can start arguing with each other in the chat. Oh well. Well,
Is Scott going to wear his bunny suit so the Greyhound can chase him up the mountain? That is not going to happen. No.
no. I
I have no idea when Tyler's going to start on his bus.
Yeah, Tyler's bus is at the top of the hill. I'm going to videotape it for him. I did just buy a pair of new steer tires for my other bus, and I gave him the steer tires I had, which are still good. They're probably 6 years old, and there's plenty of tread on them. So he knows he really can't drive what he's got here. I was talking to him for a while yesterday, and he was lamenting that he's got to get back down to Tennessee, but he is super busy right now. I think he's working 6 days or 7.
A lot.
Yeah, he's super busy with getting caught up at Carter's Garage, and I'm sure he'll get down here once that slows down. He'll come down and work on it. But he's making money like crazy, so that's a good thing.
Somebody's asking if you can feel the performance between a 4-valve head and a 2-valve head, and yes, you will.
This one was so maladjusted that I haven't realized it yet. It sounds louder. I mean, it sounds beefier. They make 2 different noises, but I'll be interested when I get both buses and I go drive both around. That other bus, I think I got it to 62. I was really excited. We got this one up to 68,
67.
67, 68 today. Once we felt the temperature, the
It had more to go too. It wasn't all the way wound out.
So this one definitely can go faster. Same size tires. I think it's the same pumpkin, isn't it? The same differential.
I don't know. You have to check the numbers.
Yeah, I think everything else being the same except that we were able to get much more speed out of it.
Is Sage going to run the bus up the hill?
I'd like to if we feel if it's okay to do tomorrow. I definitely want to.
It'll be a good test to see if it can do it horsepower-wise. It'll let you know where you're at.
I'll probably drive it around here. There's a couple. It's a hilly area that we're in right now.
If you can't make it to the top of the hill, you got to do a rebuild. That's the gauge.
Yeah. But then what? Then you got to break back down the hill. I'd like to. I want to get it functioning the way it's supposed to be functioning, and then we can play with it, I guess. It's a steep hill. My Eurovan struggled getting up it, so I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, video just doesn't do it justice. You got to walk up it once.
It is. It's crazy steep. And every time I look at it on video, I'm like, it doesn't look so bad.
No, but we.
Hey, Lulu made it with all 3 of us today.
Yeah. Yeah, we almost killed
Barely.
Almost killed the golf cart.
You're gonna have to charge it now.
Yeah.
I think Robert is asking if you're going to put solar panels on it. More of the electrical setup with Scott's. I'm not sure what he's asking.
So, I from the get-go have been really intrigued with the flexible solar panels, and when Scott was out in Arizona, he did a live with Juan, yeah, and Juan is building a solar bus right now in Arizona, and I had asked him about it, and he said no way that they advertised 30-year life, but they make it like a year and a half or 2 years. Since then, I've been doing more reading, and if you install those flexible ones that curve with some airflow underneath them so they don't overheat, that's what kills those things. Is people just put them right onto a curved surface, and then they get hot and they overheat, and heat of course kills a lot of electrical things. So I'm still doing my homework, but I've read reviews from 2 guys who test all kinds of equipment, who say that they're good if you install them the right way. So the answer is, yeah, I want to put solar on. I want to put batteries in. I'm doing something maybe a little different than what Scott is doing in terms of the Battleborn. I'm looking at actually going with an old auto battery that's not useful for a car, but would be perfect for storage for this. It's a little bit more technical, a little bit more wiring, but that's something that I'm kind of doing some homework on now. Fortunately, I've got a neighbor who is a retired Ford electrical engineer. He just retired last year, and he has some extensive background in working with electric cars. So he gets all this, and I got his interest. So I'm hoping he will help me figure out how to design this the right way.
Can you grab your phone and make me a mod on there real quick, or no? Can you do it real quick with the app, or no?
Sure. Oh boy.
Yeah, you can take like a Nissan Leaf battery and you can take all the individual cells apart, test them because usually there's going to be a couple bad ones. Most of them will be good, and
Where do I go?
connect it to your own BMS.
Were you on your live stream? I think you can do it from
Oh,
there.
just from the live, just go into the
I
live
don't know
stream
if it
itself.
lets you do it from there or not.
Okay, I'll go to my live stream.
It might buffer for a minute, but sorry.
Sure, and then I'm in here, and then we're in here. Oh,
If you click, actually here, let me just see your phone for a second.
yeah, you can just do on the fly. Anyway, so we're hoping to be out of here on Tuesday, and then once we get on Tuesday, once we get to um, Indianapolis Tuesday night, and then we'll get out of there Wednesday morning, and then we'll be able to get home. So it's been, I mean, that'll be almost 3 weeks for me. Actually, be
Oh.
almost.
Home's another at least week away for me.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm saying we're going to stop there. Then we drop off this bus, we kind of recoup, and then we get over to start working on his bus because I owe him some time now because Jason has been amazing. Done a lot more than I was expecting. He's probably done a lot more than he was expecting. But we kind of got pissed at this bus and decided we
I learned a lot about Detroit diesels and Silversides this week.
wasn't gonna
Trial
win.
by
Okay,
fire.
did
You
you
can
do?
put that. Yeah, I'm out right now, so you can put that back.
Sure.
That might cause it to buffer.
I'm going to just get that out.
Just
Close that out.
Close that window.
All right, there we go. All right. Anyway, so other than that, we saw Kelly's garden. It's really nice. Getting some good vegetables out of that.
Picking more green beans.
So that's been nice, and just kind of keep working on the bus. So, you have any more questions, or
I'm
we can-
not. He's asking if you're killing Tennessee Shine in your
What
bottle.
shine?
No, that was
No, that-
H2O.
Yeah,
that's natural Alpine spring water. I don't even know where we bought this.
yeah, we're drinking water. I did ask Scott where the whiskey where the whiskey is created. It sounds like it's North Tennessee near Kentucky.
Well, we got to go north.
Obviously, I'm not a Tennessee expert right now.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're necessarily going to go hit up a
Distillery.
distillery. That's what they're called.
So what if it takes 2 weeks to get his bus from?
I hope not.
I don't think it will, but you know what?
Oh.
I will do it. I mean, that's just the way it is. I've got some work obligations, but I've been doing my work while traveling. I had to take a couple half days here and there to get some things done. But I mean, I can work from anywhere, so I'm able to, kind of keep what I have to do. I've got people that work in my company; they're doing work too. But no, we'll just keep at it until his is done, and then he'll bring it over to Traverse City, probably by the sounds of it, and then on his way to Canada. So I don't think it's going to be 2 weeks, though.
No, I think a couple days, couple good hard days, and we get mine rolling. I don't think it needs near as much as this one did. It certainly doesn't need a water manifold. That's all in much better condition.
He started with a much better bus than mine, and it's a really nice bus. So that's kind of how it goes. This one looks pretty, which finding siding for these things is probably harder than fixing it mechanically. And so I'm glad I've got a really nice. My other bus, of course, the siding is all kind of bashed up and stuff, and that takes a lot of time too to try to get that restored. And so this one's just been tough mechanically, but when it's done, it's going to polish up very nicely, which is great.
Do you have Patreon? Somebody's asking.
I don't. And actually, you know what? YouTube just started this membership thing. I've been looking at. I don't know about that.
My guess is YouTube would take a heck of a lot more money out of it than Patreon does.
Oh yeah, what they charge.
Yeah.
This is my hobby. I don't. I mean, Scott, this is his life. And he has built a community, and Patreon is exactly been designed for kind of what Scott is doing. With everything that he's doing. For me, it's once you set up a Patreon relationship, there's an expectation that you're going to be doing this. Every day of your life is part of this. Whatever it is that people are drawn to you. And so I'm a supporter of Scott's actually. and I have been for I think since he got it. Um, but I don't know as if I need to set up a Patreon account. There was a gentleman yesterday who was super nice who kind of helped us out. That was one of my subscribers in Paris, Texas. But you know, to be honest with you, it's like if I need a part and somebody's got it and they can send it to me, that's the kind of help I really appreciate. There's a gentleman named Leon who's giving us a new water manifold, or a replacement water manifold because this one's bad. That's the kind of stuff that's going to help me, you know. But I don't know if I will. I do plan on continuing to document the restoration in other places, you know, and it's going to be another year at least before this one's done, and then I've got to start working on the other bus. So I've got plenty of things that I'm going to be doing, but I don't know if I necessarily need to charge money for it, or not. I'm not. That's not the way I meant to say it. I mean,
It makes sense.
solicit
Yeah.
donors, you know,
Yeah.
to do that because it's just I understood the costs when I started getting into this.
Yeah, I'm a Patreon supporter for Scott because he provides me with good mechanical content.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from it, and I think there's value to that. So I'm more than happy to support him.
With me, it's more just watching two guys suffer, you know, which in itself is entertaining, but I don't know if there's a lot of education to. We're gluttons for punishment.
Stan is asking, how does it feel to drive a Silver Sides with all those miles compared to a microbus?
You know, the very first time I drove, I was, with the exception of the parking brake, small minor detail.
And the mailbox.
Well, the mailbox, yeah, but that's again, I was learning it's 35 feet long, not 12 feet long. You know, I would say that it's steering. It feels very comfortable. In a microbus, you sit on the wheels, and with this bus, the wheels are
it's
just a
pretty
little
much
bit
the same
behind
thing.
you. So I'm used to the concept of not having the wheels in front of you, your steer wheels in front of you. That's like one thing that it was very comfortable to me. It shifts about as there's no synchros in an original like a split window microbus. It's you know, if you know how to shift, you can shift smooth. But this I kind of picked up how to double clutch it because I double clutch in a bus. So there's a lot of similarities, other than it's 35 feet versus 12 feet, and um, you know, but even the motor versus the engine versus the diesel versus the little 1600s, they're very simple, right? They're if you use logic, you can figure most of the stuff out on these things. This has a couple more kind of clever things, but it doesn't have a carburetor and it doesn't have a dizzy distributor. So it's simpler than a Volkswagen engine in some ways, and it's a little bit more complicated in others. It has water cooled engines, so you have a radiator and all those systems. I think they get more and more complex. I had a chance to um, really look at when we were at the Bus Boys. I was looking at a brand new bus that had broken down, and I got under in the pit with the mechanic, and I think they're horribly complicated now. Those buses that they have now, and they're super hot. It's unbelievable how much heat those engines generate now. Um, and so I like old because it's simple, and I could just hope I can still find parts for them as it goes forward.
Somebody's asking, can you get a bus into Canada now?
You can import a bus as long as it's older than, I think it's January 1st, 1971. If you're a Canadian and you want to import a bus, go to, there's two places you can go. You can go to Transport Canada's website, and they have a lot of details there. Or you can go to riv.ca, I believe it is, Registrar of Imported Vehicles, and there's more information there. So cars, you can import any car into Canada that's 15 years or older by production date, but buses, there's a hard cutoff at 1971. I think it's January 1st, but don't quote me on that. Go check it. So anything newer than that has to be on a very specific list of admissibility. So, and that even comes down to converted coaches. The converter itself has to be listed as admissible to bring it into Canada if it's newer than 1971. So obviously a Silver Sides is 47, 48, or 41 if it's a pre-war. There's absolutely no issues with that for me to import it. I just have to stop, declare it, pay my taxes, and then I gotta get it safety inspected and get my Ontario plates. So it's mostly paperwork.
Other questions?
No, there's a few more on here.
Oh.
One of them is Jeffrey is asking me why I went vegan, if it's for my health or not. I guess he asked me on one of my live streams, and I was shitty with him because I assumed he was asking to be a smartass. Because I get a lot of negative comments about being vegan. So a lot of people, there's some vegan a-holes in the world. I'm not one of them, but I'm tired of people giving me crap about it. So I thought you were. But yes, it's for my health, and you can send me a message and I'll answer it later. We don't want to tie up this live stream for that.
Yeah. I'm the only non-vegan in my family.
Yeah.
So I mean, we actually have swapped some recipes. Kelly, we've made a number of Kelly's recipes and they're great. And vice versa. I think we made something during, I think in April that we sent the recipe to Kelly. So
Somebody's asking me if I'm still going to paint Lenny with all the solar panels and stuff on it. Yeah, this is still going to get painted. Does Canada force a big inspection due to the vehicle when you're bringing it into the country, or just have it until when you get your license for it?
No, it's when you. It's up to the individual provinces. Ontario, when you buy a vehicle, you have to get it safety inspected, and it's a one-time inspection on a privately owned vehicle. If it was a commercial vehicle, then you have to get your safety inspection done annually, and school buses are actually every 6 months, I believe. So it's pretty stringent, but it does have to go through a full proper safety inspection once I get it home.
And I should mention that Jason, a lot of the footage that happened last weekend when we were up there, we're going to incorporate into a series of Jason getting his bus up, and he's in the process of getting his channel up and running. And so I'll probably have a couple of episodes or, you know, a couple of posts with it, but eventually it'll kind of evolve into Jason starting to put content up on his page. Because, I mean, he's pretty brilliant when it comes to not like knowing exactly how something works, but thinking through the mechanics. I mean, understanding the principles and then figuring it out. Scott and Jason are actually both have like the same kind of brain as far as like looking at it. Oh, that's what that does. Okay, that doesn't seem like that's right. And the next thing you know, it's fixed. And so it'll be fun to watch him put his bus back together, you know, get it restored and get it functional as a camper. So.
Did I get my leaf springs? I have not got them yet, but they have shipped, so they're completed. And I went ahead and paid. It was only $138 to have them shipped here by truck. So I'm like, oh shit,
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's worth it if it was
From
across
Ohio.
town. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool. And
what do
he's
they weigh, like 300-400 pounds, that whole pack?
More than that.
More than
I
that.
think. Yeah.
How are you gonna get it off the truck?
My next door neighbor has
okay.
forks for his tractor.
Okay,
so
yeah,
I'm
that's
sure that'll.
probably good. Well, that'll be fun. How are you going to do that? Are you going to do that by yourself?
That'll be a Scott and Kelly.
Oh, are you kidding? You're going to do that by yourself?
I don't know.
Well, heck, why don't we just grab you tomorrow, and you can come up and help me get the last spring on my bus.
I haven't told Kelly that yet, but
I think the springs are good on my bus.
Yeah, I've been watching this one. This one's it's got a little bit of of lowering in the back, but not like the other one.
Oh, you need shocks, by the way.
Yeah, I need some
Like
shocks.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they all kind of do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're. How hard is it to find shocks for these things?
you're gonna just well, the last one that I did, it cost me I think it was $1,750.
Was that Apple Hydraulics?
For one shock? Yes. So these have the lever arm mechanical shocks. So mine had one that was missing. So I bought one off of, actually got it from Gene, sent it into Apple to have it, Apple Hydraulics in New York to have it rebuilt. They got it and said it's unrebuildable. You have to get another one. So I had to go back and buy another one.
Oof.
By the time I shipped that to Apple, they charged like $7.99 to rebuild it. Plus the shipping back and forth, that was, you know, I took the one that was no good. I said, just keep it. Maybe you can use it for parts for somebody else or whatever. Shipping back and forth and all that, I was $1,750 into it for one shock, and I could have just bought a set of Monroes for $150 and welded a couple of brackets under there and been good to go.
That's the route I'm going.
That's what I would recommend doing.
Okay.
If I had to do it again all over, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Or I'll sell you both of mine for $1,750.
Or a door number 2.
A whole lot of new Monroes. You could put dual shocks on both sides.
So that answers that. I will be looking at Monroe. They're made in Michigan. Should get some air shocks, air adjustive, so I can drop it. Yeah.
Somebody here's any Stan was saying any tire deals out there.
Ooh.
Oh, what was that site you were using?
Yeah. So Simple Tire is sort of like an eBay for tire dealers, I guess would be the best way to put it, because they don't really tell you where they're coming from, but it's just a guaranteed flat rate shipping price. And I just got a pair of fronts pair of steer tires, exact same model as Scott's, for $350 plus shipping.
Yours were 11s though.
Yeah, they're 11s, but I mean it's the same
Yeah.
model. They're Toyos, and I know I paid $650 for the same tires for my other bus.
Did you hear the owl?
Oh, I heard the owl. Yeah, we have owls living with us, but yeah, he's over there. But yeah, so right now there are an awful lot of, especially if you're going for 11s, because a lot of school buses are using those. There's a lot of inventory sitting on shelves not being used because we're not driving as much.
Yeah, there's a lot of bus companies, charters that are shut down right now. So
Think about that. All these charter bus companies that are driving constantly, and they don't need tires for 6 months or 8 months. So there is a lot of inventory sitting out there that's available, and the prices. Now's the time to go looking. And SimpleTire.com, I think, is what it's called.
I love that owl. Okay, what's the cost for parts to get this bus 500 to 700 miles?
parts or
Well,
oil?
Yeah.
How many dollars per mile has this trip cost you so far?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell you, beyond the bus itself, I'm about 9,000 into this. That does include travel time. The travel, each trip that Tyler and I made down here and back was about $900. We've been on the road for 3 weeks, and we've stayed in hotels almost every night, and so we've eaten. We haven't gone on a hunger strike, so we've eaten, but we've been trying to be pretty conservative. We have a cooler, and we're eating sandwiches out of there. We eat the hotel breakfast and that kind of stuff. But I'd say it's between 8,000 and 9,000. The air compressor was $550. The blower was $470.
Several people are saying that they can hear the audio, but the video is frozen.
Huh.
I don't know why.
I'll just move and see if it.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
it
frozen
is.
there.
It is.
Yeah.
I wonder how you reset it without losing the feed.
I don't know.
Well, do you really need to look at us? Here, let me look and see what's going on.
Is there any questions we can answer while he's video frozen?
Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're back up.
Oh yeah.
Did it freeze up there? Or
No,
did
my
it go-
phone put some warning message about
Oh.
something completely unrelated to YouTube. So sorry about that.
So he's not on Patreon. We just went through that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
A few minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm not, and like I said, I support Scott if you want to support somebody, because he's doing something that's very unique, and I'm just trying to put a bus together. So yeah,
But if you bump into him on the side of the road, I'm sure he needs a jug of
yeah,
oil.
I mean if you gave me, yeah, I mean if you want to get me a jug of oil or whatever. Yeah, but I probably won't go the Patreon route as a member that way, but I am a supporter.
Yeah, somebody's asking if I can have a forklift for my shop at some point, but I have nothing right now, so I don't have a place.
Well, he's
You
got
want-
pretty
you don't want a
snazzy
forklift?
engine.
You want a bobcat with forks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be more useful.
He's got an engine lift over there with a Spicer 4 transmission on it. So, yeah, actually, a Bobcat would be perfect for you because then you could do driveway work, you could do engine work.
I
all
really
that
need a bulldozer. I got that bulldozer that
Yeah.
they're going to get out of Michigan, and then a backhoe that'll come in real handy too. But the list is never ending. There's nothing I couldn't use here, honestly. So,
I found a trucker that'll do Landau for $250 a mile out of Michigan.
wow.
Well, let's call it. We'll do about 5 more minutes and wrap it up. I want to eat dinner. I'm sure we all do.
And they're asking the Radiator. We answered that it runs real cool now. It's
You're gonna feed me tonight?
170. Oh yeah, wait till you see what we got, man. 170 degrees has been steady, uphills, downhills. It's doing its job really well, and that's makes me happy
Yeah.
that at least we know we have a system that if we treat it right is gonna do the job.
I ran a couple third gear hills flat out, no problem whatsoever. The gauge didn't even budge. So
Any last minute questions? Now's the time to ask them, because if I missed them, it's probably because they weren't all in caps. and I didn't skip them on purpose.
Guess the only other thing I'd ask is subscribe. So I am doing YouTube, and it's covering my gas. I think, sorry, the diesel
Thank you.
during this trip, I think, is being covered
Light turned on.
by the YouTube support. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Hit like on this. It's amazing how that helps other people find me, is through subscriptions and through likes for this. And so that is one thing you can do if you wouldn't consider. I read the analytics pretty carefully, and only about 28%, 30% of the people who watch my videos are subscribers, and I'd like to grow that. I'd like to get that up near 50%. So
We have 390 people watching right now.
yeah,
Wow.
so if you're not a subscriber, just consider that. I will have good content. I'm trying to put content out every Sunday and every Wednesday is sort of the schedule I want to commit myself to. And so if it's not this bus, it'll be the other bus or something to do with the restoration. If I run out of both of them, I've got 4 cars I need to restore at my Volkswagen garage. So I definitely am generating some interesting stuff, so consider subscribing.
Somebody was asking me why my solar panels are so damn efficient. It's because I have a lot of them, that's why. And they're commercial grade high voltage panels. The whole system's great. You guys can help me with my carburetor? No, they're not. We got too much other stuff to do. I don't have any of the parts here. So
Yeah.
they offered, but I don't have any here.
And I bought Scott a fuel pump
He did.
6 months ago, and it's still lost here in town. It got misdelivered, and nobody has seen it since.
Go find who's driving a Volkswagen around town.
Well, I have the address of where it went. Maybe we should just go knock on that guy's door, or we'll get shot. I don't know.
It's not Texas.
But the postal system here, we're working vigorously to get them to get the fuel pump that I bought him a while ago, because he was having a fuel pump problem a while ago.
Yeah, and I have no spare right now, which makes we're going to take a trip on that thing, and I'm afraid to drive it far without having a spare fuel pump, because that's
Yeah.
I got a spare throttle cable in there too, because I
That's good. You need a spare
Clutch cable.
clutch cable. You need points. You need your points. Oh, we'll give you a list of stuff you need to have in your, because your points fry, man. You're on the side of the road. You got to get points. They're cheap. They're $10 or $5, but you need to carry those. Wouldn't hurt to carry,
The screwdriver to change them.
yeah, the 10mm and the screwdriver and all that stuff.
They didn't run the rack before they left Texas because they didn't know how to run the rack, and
No.
that's something I don't recommend. Somebody over the phone tells you how to do it. So
We just ran out of time too. Even if
Yeah.
I wanted to do it, we just wanted to get out of there.
yeah,
So explain what running the rack means. I mean, is it what we just did where we adjust?
Well, we did more than that.
Okay.
yeah. It's just it's all the settings on the governor, going through and doing all that, the fuel injectors, everything. So
We did use the pins to,
yeah,
And-
that's setting the timing.
and
Yeah.
was the
So it's-
timing correct?
I didn't check any of that.
when you set the rack, do you have to go back and redo timing?
No, but I can go check it with my dial gauge and
Okay.
see how you guys did on that, and we can check your exhaust valve clearance too.
Yeah. I just wonder if we did okay.
Yeah, we'll know.
Well, I guess if that's it, thank you very much. Next Sunday, Jason and I, we're going to probably just keep doing this as this project goes on. We might be from Minnesota.
Hopefully, we'll be sitting in behind my bus next.
Yeah,
Sunday.
we'll be sitting behind his. We tried to do that last week, walk around, but it was raining pretty hard. And so we ended up having to go live from somewhere else. But yeah, next Sunday we'll be back in Minnesota, I think. And Jason will do most of the talking,
Sure.
and I'll do most of the sitting.
It's a good bus. It was obviously it wasn't tuned well, but when we just fired it up a little while ago, it was running really, really good. And we'll see. I want to see it start cold tomorrow morning and see how that goes. Meanwhile, we got to fix the valve cover leak. That's the biggest oil leak that he's got on there, and then the airbox leak with the inspection cover gasket that was blown out on it. That should make a performance definitely a little bit better for him too on the highway.
And not coat oil everywhere.
Oh, and we put a new starter on it today too.
Yeah, we haven't been able to start it. Every time we do a fuel stop, we just leave the bus running all day because it takes an hour and a half to cool off before we can start it. So that problem's solved, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be nice. You can actually check your oil now. So
Yeah.
We've just been estimating how
Yeah.
many gallons per mile, and
how many
Well,
drops are on the
how many miles
windshield of the van?
Well,
I'm getting pretty good at it. I know when to add a gallon.
When the white van turns black behind you, you're a gallon down. Wash the van, you know when you got to add oil.
well,
Actually,
if we want to wrap it up, I'll take the camera over and show the hood of the Eurovan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go do
think
that.
that's
Give a
worth
sense.
doing.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up. If you can still ask questions or whatever, but I'm going to unhook the microphone here.
We're not going to start the bus right now because I have to go. I was just went through the course more stuff on it right now.
Just watch a YouTube video. So, and then this has to come with me. All right. So the Eurovan, which has been a big trooper. This is it.
Fix it once.
Yeah. We only had a flasher go out, but it's got a full kitchen in there, and it's got a heater, all kinds of cool stuff. But this is the hood. We'll get nice and close. So if you look at it, I mean, look at all that stuff. I mean, and it's not just on the hood.
Well, you gotta
It's
get
on the
rid-
emblem.
you
It's
gotta
on
get
there.
ripping off the mirrors here.
Oh yeah. So, and I cleaned the mirror.
Backside mirror is dirtier.
This morning I cleaned this thoroughly. I wiped it all off. And then you see these like big ones. I mean, these looks like bug marks. That is oil. Big splatters that come off. I mean, look, it looks like I drove through Iowa or something and it's covered in bugs, but this is all oil. And I mean, this one's horrible too. And you can see it running down the side. My window's down, but my window's completely covered. Look it up here, all the way above it. And then this is the one that kills me. Here, we'll come back around. So that's a project Scott's working on right now over there. But look at here. You know, it's come all the way over the bus and come down the backside. It's coated in oil. So we ran it through a car wash in Wichita Falls. One car wash wouldn't even take us. They're like, "Oh, you're too disgusting." I said, "Isn't that the point of a car wash, is to bring it to you dirty?" And they're like, "No, we're not gonna wash your car." So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. But anyway, so say goodbye, Scott.
Good night.
Yeah, and see Jason, and we'll see you on the YouTubes. But have a good night. Thank you for joining us tonight.